We have some more NHL free agent signings to announce, plus Alex Burrows has announced his retirement, so we'll have a quick look at his career in the NHL as well. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. We review and discuss all 31 NHL teams, so if you're a huge hockey fan, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. As I mentioned off the top, we have some more free agent signings to announce, plus Alex Burrows has announced his retirement from the NHL, so I want to have a quick look at his career as well. I think his story is a little bit unique and something that everybody should be familiar with here. So first of all, let's jump in and take a look at the signings that were announced so far today. Some of these came late yesterday as well, after yesterday's video was recorded. So let's dive into that, and then we'll have a quick look here at the career of Alex Burrows. Now, the first signing here we're going to discuss is Tyler Ennis, formerly of the Minnesota Wild, and before that he was with the Buffalo Sabres. Had a pretty decent start to his career, been derailed by injuries a bit, but he signed a one-year contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs for a low-value league minimum of $650,000 here. So that's a little bit surprising. I didn't think the Maple Leafs would be looking to add any more depth forwards, but this is obviously a very low-risk signing by the Toronto Maple Leafs, so if they can manage to get some production out of Ennis and rejuvenate his career, then all the best to them. If he can rejuvenate his career, then it certainly will help both sides here. I would assume if Ennis does get some time playing with the NHL club and is able to produce, probably unlikely to get an extension due to the salary cap situation the Leafs are going to be in here. After signing John Tavares, and they have obviously a lot of other contracts with some bigger name forwards to look after here, like Nylander, Marner, and Matthews over this year and next. I'm not sure they'd have much room to keep Ennis in the fold long term here, but obviously for this year, certainly provide some depth at the forward position, and if he can rejuvenate things and get scoring again, then he could be a very valuable asset to the Maple Leafs. Edmonton Oilers forward Ryan Strome has agreed to a 2-year contract with a $3.1 annual value here. Ryan Strome still had his best season so far as a rookie with the New York Islanders. Obviously, he was traded with Jordan Eberle, swap 1-for-1 here just a couple of seasons back. So obviously right now, so far that deal's looking out to be more in favor of the Islanders, as Eberle has rejuvenated his career way more than Ryan Strome has so far. But I think so far, for what the role that the Oilers have Strome playing, he hasn't been too bad, but still be nice to see him reach a little bit more of his potential that was supposedly there when he was drafted. He's had a hard time doing that, but he's re-upped with the Oilers here. 2 years, $3.1 million per season, which might seem like a lot, but there's actually a lot of players in that 30 to 40 point range per season that are getting these types of contracts, so it is fairly much in line with other comparables around the NHL. Cedric Paquette signed a 1-year, $1 million deal to remain with the Tampa Bay Lightning, so obviously he'll be a valuable piece to their bottom six here. Obviously, as we know, the Tampa Bay Lightning are in heavy trade discussions trying to acquire Erik Karlsson from Ottawa, so obviously it's unclear right now if they do land him what pieces would be going back. So obviously they very wise signing for them to keep some depth forwards around, as depending on if they're able to land this big trade here, they may need some extra pieces to either make the trade work or to keep for themselves, depending on who ends up going out the door if that deal goes down. But still a valuable signing. Paquette's provided some value to the Lightning, so I'm not surprised to see them keep him around for another 1-year contract. The Carolina Hurricanes have agreed to terms with Trevor Van Riemsdyk on a 2-year contract as well. I thought there was possibility here that Trevor Van Riemsdyk might be one of the guys perhaps in Carolina that gets traded. Obviously right now they do have an abundance of defensemen. After signing Calvin DeHaan just a few days ago, they do have more defensemen than they need for their NHL roster, counting some of their top prospects that were expected to get NHL time this year. So it would not be surprising to see at least one, possibly two, go out the door via trade. I know Justin Falk's been the name that's been more commonly mentioned, but they do have a lot of guys that play the left side. So hard to say here if Trevor Van Riemsdyk is one of those players that gets traded or not, but at least he has a very decent contract now. Van Riemsdyk ended up signing for 2 years at $2.3 million per season. The St. Louis Blues have a couple of signings here. They've signed Jordan Nolan to a 1-year, $650,000 deal. Obviously, Nolan will likely end up spending time in the American Hockey League as well, but at least gives them that grit and toughness should they feel they need that on occasion. Obviously, he's been bouncing around the NHL for some time now, so he's got a fair bit of experience and might just prove to be a valuable depth signing. They've also re-signed forward Oscar Sundqvist as well to a 1-year deal worth $700,000. Obviously, Sundqvist hasn't really gotten to be too established here in NHL. It was a whole lot of production, but they decided to keep him around here on a one-year deal. He had filed for salary arbitration, but obviously that won't be required anymore. They've settled that case long beforehand, so he'll re-sign here with the Blues for a one-year deal worth $700K. We have a couple of entry-level deals to announce as well. The New York Islanders have signed goaltender Jakub Skarek, who they drafted this year in the 2018 NHL draft, so he's been named to his entry-level deal. And the Colorado Avalanche have also signed their first-round selection, Martin Kaut, out of the Czech Republic. He's been signed to his entry-level contract as well. So obviously these guys probably unlikely to make the NHL this season, but they could certainly make their pro debuts here in North America. That would not be surprising at all. They could end up playing for their American Hockey League affiliates. Obviously, the rules are a little bit different for players coming over from Europe than they are from the CHL, so it's quite possible that they could certainly play pro hockey in North America this season. I'm not sure if that's been confirmed, if that's the plan for these guys or not, but just because of the nature of how they were drafted, where they're coming from, it certainly is a possibility for sure. Now jumping over here to talk about Alex Burrows for a minute. Obviously Alex Burrows has had a pretty solid career, playing 13 seasons between the Vancouver Canucks and obviously one and a bit here for the Ottawa Senators to finish things off. For some of you, Alex Burrows might be the type of player that you look at as an antagonizer who was kind of a pain in the butt at times, had some suspensions, wasn't always looked upon as being the cleanest guy around. I know he certainly was able to get under a lot of guys' skins, but at the same time here, if you don't know the full backstory in Alex Burrows, he really is the ultimate story of perseverance and dedication to hockey for sure. This guy went undrafted when he was eligible. He did not get drafted at all. Had to battle his way up. He started off in the East Coast Hockey League, then worked his way up to the American Hockey League. At the age of 24, finally gets a shot at a fourth-line role with Vancouver. Kept working hard, kept grinding away, works his way up, eventually works himself into a top-line spot, playing with the Sedins for a number of years. Turned out to be a pretty solid player. During his prime years playing with the Sedin, Alex Burrows was an extremely valuable piece for the Vancouver Canucks, and certainly, considering how long it took him to get where he was, just a great story in my opinion on how if you keep working hard and you keep grinding away, that good things can happen, and it's never too late to get your hockey career started. And for anybody, especially if you're a younger player right now and you're still going through the ranks, whether you're trying to make it to junior hockey or you're in junior trying to go to the NHL, it just goes to show that you really, if you're that passionate about it and you really believe in yourself and you keep going, that great things can happen. So like I said, Alex Burrows to me is like the ultimate underdog here. Proved to be a great story, battling his way up through all three of the professional leagues, except from the East Coast League to the AHL up to the NHL. He ended up putting in 13 years. So take a look at his career totals here. Obviously, he ended up playing 913 games, scoring 207 goals and 409 points. He also put up 1,134 penalty minutes. As we all know, like I said, he's played the role of an antagonist a lot, especially during his days in Vancouver. Ended up taking a few suspensions because of it, but at the same time, overall, Alex Burrows did have a pretty solid career considering how it came to be. Now, he's also, after announcing his retirement, is going into coaching. Alex Burrows has accepted a position as an assistant coach with Laval in the American Hockey League, which is the affiliate for the Montreal Canadiens. There was some speculation maybe the Canucks would bring him back in some capacity, whether if it wasn't as a one-year contract to play, maybe one final year. If not, maybe some kind of role within coaching, front office, or some kind of job with the organization. That didn't come to be, but a part of that obviously could have been as well. I'm not sure if there was any offers from Vancouver. I can't say if there was or wasn't, but as we all know, Alex Burrows is originally from the Quebec area. When he was traded to Ottawa, I know one of the things he said was that it was close to home. He could see his family more, and that was something that was important to him as well. So even if there was an offer on the table from the Canucks, this might make more sense to him from a family perspective, to try to be able to be around family more while continuing to work in hockey in some capacity. So hard to say where this coaching gig will take him, but obviously it's a pretty decent job to be starting off as an assistant coach in the American Hockey League. So best of luck to Alex Burrows. Like I said, he's been a great story here over his career. As much as you might have loved him or hated him, depending on what side of the ice you're on watching him, he was fun to watch play if you're cheering for the team he was on. At the same time, though, and if you're cheering for the opposing team, he really can get under your skin and really be a pain in the neck at times. But like I said, I just like the story that I like just from the fact that if you never give up and you work hard and you keep persisting, he's like I said, he's the ultimate underdog story, which is always nice to see, because you see a lot of, especially where we just went through the NHL draft. I'm sure there's some kids out there that didn't get picked and are probably pretty down on themselves, thinking their dream might be crushed and might be over. But it just goes to show that that's not always the case. If you keep working, it can happen. Now, if you're new to the channel here, I hope you consider subscribing. We cover all 31 NHL teams, and there's plenty of content here for all hockey fans to enjoy. So if you're new, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, hit the like button as well. I'd really appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you very much for watching, everybody. We will catch you next time.